Good evening and welcome to Plain Talk. My name is Crystal Fram. Thank you for joining me for the next hour. Now, a couple of weeks ago, we read in the news media that President David Granger was going to Trinidad and Tobago for his medical checkup. That seemed a little strange given the vast sums of money which is being spent on our health sector, and the fact that a medical checkup, even to the mind of a pure bookkeeper, is not a particularly complicated issue, and there is no reason why our own medical system should not be used. It made me think that perhaps we needed to have a good discussion on the state of the health sector in Guyana. Maybe what are some of the most common problems? What are the kinds of health issues we face? Physical health, mental health, men's health, women's health, all forms of various health, public and private. So I've invited Dr. Karl Max Hanoman, a friend of mine for many, many years. I would say he's you've been my doctor as well, yes. Dr. Hanoman, and I thank you very much. Now, what would you say? You've been in practice, what, 40 years? 38 years. What's the kind of trend you've seen in the illnesses and diseases in Guyana?
Well, you know, Guyana, in the early days when I came back, there were different political strategies in the country.
That was 1980 approximately.
1978, 79.
Yes.
Where people were, you had to eat certain foods and certain foods you didn't eat. Certain ethnic groups would cost them certain foods, and so it cost them a lot more to acquire it.
So those were the days when we had serious restrictions on the importation of food items.
As that happened, because of the cost of the food, I'm talking about the low class of people, you find it affected families. Mm-hmm. So in those early days, we had a lot of malnutrition. Not because the food wasn't available, mm-hmm. but because it was so costly. And the income was not there in the lower strata.
Well, we don't want to go back to those days.
Yeah, I'm not going back. I'm
but no, what I mean, is there any kind of, are there any kinds of issues of malnutrition now in our society? Then it was partly because of accessibility to food, and some of the items were banned. You had to pay black market
Sometimes
prices.
You have malnutrition here because of ignorance, especially when it comes to babies in the far-flung regions. Not generally so in Georgetown, but in the far-flung regions. And if you look, you see babies very malnourished, and so in areas outside of Georgetown. But now you don't see that so often. The healthcare system, because they have so many stations, they're taking care of that more so now. What you're seeing is in the adult population, things like hypertension, high blood pressure, and diabetes, and of course infectious diseases, HIV and AIDS. And if the sanitation is not good, you have a lot of viral infections and like bacterial infections, diarrheal diseases. So that type of thing, that's a common thing around. But it varies from region to region. Depends on how well things are in the area.
In economic terms, you mean?
Cleanliness and
okay.
The disease is proportional to the amount of hygiene you keep.
Is that what is called public health?
Supposed to be called public health. Remember years ago we used to have public health inspectors?
Yes.
I don't think we have that now.
We have a Ministry of Public Health.
We have a Ministry of Public Health with a lot of doctors with postgraduate degrees in public health. But do they go on outside and check the latrines and check the drainage and check
That was the work done by
Of
the
the
old-time
inspector.
sanitary inspectors.
We don't have that now.
When you hear
bring it back.
sanitaries coming along, you
That is what you have to do because they're very strict. And you have to maintain, they will check and see you don't have pots and plants with water, stuck with water, mosquito breeding. Those are the things we need to monitor and get back into. And fogging, the mosquito is so high now, nobody fogs. So sure, public health is there. But you have to do preventive measures. What preventive measures are we taking?
So my question was the kind of what the common problems or common health issues.
Well, you know, if we get infectious diseases because of viruses like dengue fever. You have diarrheal diseases. When you have the stagnant water, if you have flooding, you can get leptospirosis if you get flooding. Because kids play in the water or people in the water, and the rats and so in the water, you know, you can get flooding, and you get yellow discoloration of the eye, and that's lepto. So conditions like that.
But where there's heart attack and diabetes.
Oh, that's a different issue altogether. That's lifestyle. That's lifestyle. With the incidence of fast foods, we have fast foods coming around all over the city. So our incidence of heart attack and high cholesterol and high blood pressure equates very nearly with the Americans because of our, you know, a lot of people partake in fast foods now, and these are highly fried food, a lot of fats and so on. So with that type of thing, a lack of exercise.
And cooked under conditions that are not particularly well regulated.
That's not regulated, quite true. Because we don't know what type of oils they use, and
Yes.
if it's reused, and you know, as again, who inspects it? Food handle, you know, inspectors. You have to have food inspectors.
Yes.
Of course, you have to get a certificate to work as a food handler certificate. But the places around, they do go and check some places. But do they check? Do they have enough staff? If you check and see if the staff is adequate to check all these areas, I don't think so.
Now, those are the problems. What has been the trend? As you said, in the 78, 40 years ago, when in the peak of the restriction on importation, perhaps. Well, it did last until 1990. I think when Desmond Hoyt
Yes, Hoyt was
removed them.
a lot of things in the country. What
patterns, what changes have you been seeing? Is this partly that fast food syndrome that we seem to be caught in?
That's part of it, but you must remember that in Guyana it's a two-tier system. There's health care for the rich and health care for the poor. If you can't afford it, you go to Georgetown Hospital. When you can afford it, you go to the private institutions. The private institutions in Guyana are flourishing, and they offer services that similar to Trinidad and Barbados.
Are comparable, yes.
Yes, so once you can afford it, for example, if you're going to go and do an angiogram, it costs you around $60,000 dollars. Now, how many people can afford that? It's not available.
And an angiogram is
you put a dye to see if there's blockage in the heart, to know if you can put a stent or if you can do a bypass and that type of thing. So we have to find healthcare that in specialized healthcare that's more affordable for the poor people. The poor people cannot afford that type of thing. And can Georgetown Hospital give it? No, you still have to pay. CHI.
When you say you still have to pay.
CHI is not free.
Caribbean Heart Institute is
No, it's not free. It's a government-private partnership. So there are fees for everything that you go there to. So if you can't afford it, where do you get the money to do these things?
Well, I have to ask you a question that touches on politics. The ministers themselves have taken out some medical scheme that they go abroad. We had Moses Nagamutu, Prime Minister. Did it strike you as odd that the president would go a routine annual checkup would leave his own country and go to Trinidad to have that done?
Well, I find that unusual in that I thought, or I believed that Mr. Granger had more confidence in the Guyanese
Medical system?
medical setup. I don't think it was just something like that he went to Trinidad on his own doing. It could have been some reason that he would advise going to maybe, how you know it's not his wife insurance he went on or something like that, as far as I understood.
But still, it's a matter of confidence.
Yes,
you want to engender confidence.
It doesn't convey to people, yes, right, to say that you have services. Yeah. And I think he could have apologized for that.
Well, he didn't.
Maybe he would.
Now, what is involved with a checkup? Because
Checkup is routine.
Routine, you ask a question, history.
And then as you check your history and physical examination.
Yes.
When you find something, you may do further investigations. Now, if it's something extremely technical that we can't do here, then the doctors here would be able to say, look, we can't handle it here because of the expertise or the machines or this or that. Maybe we'll refer you to a very sophisticated center. But they go to Trinidad for a checkup as compared to Guyana.
Quite frankly, it's an insult to the medical profession in Guyana and the private medical services. And of course the public medical services as well.
I haven't followed up what he said, but did he say that he went there just for a medical checkup? Or
well, that's what was said, and that's what he's been doing. His wife is on this CARICOM medical scheme. Well, surely you're the first lady now.
But to be honest with you, I mean, you've hit a touchy point, because I wouldn't like to talk about Mr. Granger because I was his doctor before he became president.
Well, then don't, yes. But
I can't.
No. Well, we're talking the principle.
In principle, yes. Take it head of state. A head of state should do something which gives the public confidence. Going to Trinidad does not give that confidence, I agree with you. And maybe he should give a reason. Look, we have good services here. We're trying to improve our services. By chance, I went to Trinidad for this reason or that reason or the other. Maybe he didn't do that. I think he heard.
Now, we hear about the public system and the private system. You're a fairly prominent, not fairly, you're a very prominent member of the medical profession. How many doctors you have in the public system versus the private system?
You know something? In Guyana, we have about 1,300 doctors total. Now remember, there was an influx of doctors that were sent to study in Cuba.
Yes.
And quite a few numbers came back. 4, 5, 600, 700. But those doctors are found within the government system. Now, these doctors, when they go to Cuba, they have a basic degree, and they come back here. Remember, in Cuba, they're taught in Spanish. So it takes time to orient back, to know exactly within your own area how things are here. Drugs, this, that. Not only that, we have compromised some of those training. In that, I was the director of School of Medicine at the University of Guyana. We have a cooperation with the University of Guyana and Georgetown Hospital that all our graduates have to go through an internship program at Georgetown Hospital. What has been done within the past, people who've gone to Cuba, even though I have nothing against the training in Cuba, but the apprenticeship has been compromised in some cases. They did not go through the program at George Hospital where you do each department. Instead, it was incestuous. They brought a group of people from Cuba and did somebody that who's, diamond and this. You cannot compromise that part of training in healthcare. And this where the deficiency lies.
How long has this been going on?
It's gone on long. Since
Why is the establishment in the medical profession?
They did.
No, why you been making some noise?
Yeah, we did. It was under the... But politics rules the day, boy, when it comes to those things. They direct the medical councils to these type of things, when it shouldn't be so.
So,
but I think I'm trying to... There are some measures, corrective measures being put in place now, or within recent times, in that even though they've come and done some of the rotations outside, they have to go back to George Hospital and do, I think, another year or so to get the full training.
Well, we're talking about 1,300. Of that 13, how many are Cuban-trained doctors?
Oh, that's the majority. Majority. Remember you said 300 and 300 and all that. So, during when they were given... What we did, we compromised it. When they wanted to fill, we had 300 seats. You pick up any time you can resend it. I'm not saying all. Maybe, let's say 250 were good. You had to fill it to 50 more.
Yeah.
Where you get it from? You took people with one subject and two subjects, 4, 3 subjects, I think that's what happened.
So, are you saying...
And this is the truth.
Are you
I
saying...
know I get hell for this, but...
Are you saying, Dr. Hanoman, because this must be a risk. A professional is a well-trained person, education, training.
Is a risk. But the idea, you see, politics and reality are two different things. Politics want to say, I have 1,000 doctors, I can give health care to all everybody else. Reality is, can you give the quality of health care that the people so desire? That is the question.
So you would say the public medical system...
I'm not decrying them now, don't get me...
No, but they're still in the system.
Yeah, but they're trying to correct it.
They're trying to correct, but how does one take a chance that you might just find one of the uncorrected ones?
All right, suppose we find fault. What we should do, we should find a mechanism where we can evaluate the performance of the doctors.
Why is the medical council not doing that?
And ask them.
But you're part of this establishment.
The medical council is elected by the body. If you have, it's like politics in Guyana. If you have 500 and 300, one acting group to the other, the only 500 will win. So when you get the election here, you put who you understand? You understand how it runs?
You have so you have a facility.
It doesn't run like this, it's every doctor votes. So if you have 1,300 doctors, they can vote to put who in medical council, and the best 6 number of votes goes in. You understand it now?
Yes. You have how many doctors you have working in your system, in your place?
Really?
Is it just you who work?
No, me and my daughter.
You and your daughter. And she's trained where?
So UG. But she went through Georgia Hospital and everything.
Would you take a Cuban trained doctor to work in your practice?
You mean, I would take any doctor if I question them and they're capable.
No.
I can't say if a person is capable or not unless I can examine him and ask him.
But is it
I can't say because you're Cuban I won't take you.
Or because you're Cuban trained.
No.
But you are saying that the minimum standard...
There are some Cuban trained doctors excellent.
Absolute, but
from Guyana.
You always find that. The thing is, we're talking,
what
is the norm?
Let me tell you, I've looked at the survey of the doctors. Students who from Queen's College who had 2 and 3 A levels and got to Cuba, when they come back, they make excellent doctors. If the foundation is good, they make excellent doctors. But if the foundation is weak, that's when the trouble starts. It goes back.
Okay, so you're talking the public. How would you assess the public healthcare system the regional hospitals, including Georgetown Hospital, the diagnostic centers, and all those facilities. What standard would you put it at?
You know, Josh.
Or put them at?
No, Georgetown Hospital is a different cup of tea. Georgetown Hospital have specialists in each area, and these specialists guide and train, and they have postgraduate program which we introduced. So the level of care is coming up at Georgetown Hospital. The mistake they have made is that even though we've trained at Georgetown Hospital, they have not taken the graduates that we have trained and put them in the peripheral centers to guide those people. So you would bring up a level of care in the peripheral centers at a higher level. For example, if you had within the surgical department of Georgetown Hospital 8 graduates this year, you find next year 6 graduates there. Let's take them, put them into the areas. When they're graduates now, postgraduates, not just ordinary graduates.
Yes.
They've done MBBS, they have a diploma in surgery. Let's do proper planning. Take the same graduates and guide the same people who graduate, because you need guidance. Put them in specialist areas, different hospitals, study, Linden, Vorbees, different areas. Then you move to Marble Room 1. As you get more graduates, because as you do that, you bring a level of care bar.
But with this number that we have, we should have been there already.
We have not done it in a strategic way.
Have we? Are we now doing?
It has to be a government policy.
Are we now doing it in a strategic way?
No, I don't think so.
So the situation is still as bad.
Because
so you're saying
Georgetown has been an entity by itself. It stands out above everybody else.
But yet it has a pretty bad reputation for patient care, overcrowding, staffing issues, human resources issues.
Because it all reflects back from what I'm saying. They would not have had that overcrowding if you take special put them in West Dem Hospital, so people don't have to come there at 7 o'clock at night.
Yes.
And they close down West Dem. It's not functional. The arms of healthcare are not functional after a certain time. After 5, 6 o'clock, you go to West Dem, you can't get surgery. I don't know about now. But that was the story then.
Yes.
So we have to go about it in a different way. Not only that. For example, right now we are localized. Because of hypertension and diabetes, we have a lot of people with kidney failure. Where do you think the center is? Georgetown Hospital. The idea is you should take dialysis center from Georgetown Hospital, not only Georgetown Hospital, put one in New Amsterdam, put one in Linden, put one in West Dem, one in Bartica, and train people and send them so you spread them out. But we're not doing that.
Well, the paradox is
and you got to pay.
The paradox is, I saw the president say the other day that he expects healthcare to be within 5 miles of the person's residence. I think something like that. We're light years away from that, are we?
Of course.
Now, the private system, it has its own bad reputation.
What do you mean?
Overcharging people. It doesn't give good quality service. It rushes patient care. It's a question of, is a numbers game.
Have you done that study?
As I said, no. Is there? Okay, you tell me, sir.
No.
Is there such a study? Is there a study?
There is no.
Exactly.
There should be a study.
It should be, but there's
a
none.
lot of good work being done out there by Woodlands and Balancing. Have you done the cardiac centers and see the angiograms and the work they've done?
No.
I've sent patients and the patients come back very good.
Now, so you're saying the accusations of price,
the price is high.
Gouging.
No, the price is high.
But
remember, these people, is the price high because they're making enormous profit, or is the price high because of the taxation, or they have to bring in the things? Why is the price that high? Right now, so
a lot of it would not be taxable.
I'm going to tell you, Dr. Yuli Hanoman was here last weekend. He's gone to Suriname. Suriname can do the cardiac work half the price of Trinidad. And he asked me, why can't we help the poor people? I said, let's go ahead and help it. Come back and talk.
He's living in Trinidad, of course.
Yeah, but he's willing to come back.
Well, why doesn't he?
When he come next time, I'll put you in your program.
No, but the how many the average GP, general practitioner, whether he's practicing at Woodlands or at your place, the various places along the East Coast, East Bank, West Dem, about how many patients a day does a GP see in private practice?
No. It depends, you know. It depends how knowledgeable you are, how good results you get.
Yes.
People don't come to you if everybody dying. So if you get good results, you're popular. But right now with the economic situation,
Well, bad medical service doesn't automatically translate into deaths. It translates into a continuing state of bad health,
yeah, continuously bad health will lead to death.
which eventually
Yeah, earlier death. Earlier death.
death, because
Yeah.
that is always
Which we call
no.
it.
But I'm asking because sometimes you go in and you see these, and it's almost people just churning out. And how much you hear a doctor charges maybe $3,000
consultation.
consultation.
I think no. Well, a general practitioner, it's about 2,000 consultations.
2,000. Okay, for a person to make $50,000 a day, which is not a hell of a lot of money for a doctor who has trained, gone through all the expenditure. You've seen 25 people in 6 hours. That's 360 minutes. That's not a lot of time you spend on a patient.
Not every patient takes a lot of time. Some patients are very simple. As soon with practice, as soon as they walk in to talk to you, you know exactly what's wrong with them. But of course, in these days and age, people want to confirm what they have. So you have
And
to
people ask more questions now of the
so
GP than
you have to do more investigations and more. Not only that, remember people. Soon we're gonna have litigation in health too. So you got to know what you're doing.
So you think, my question then, do you think the average Guyanese can afford private medical treatment?
What do you mean by the average Chinese? That's the question.
Well, the one
average.
other than the people, the deep pocket one that you talked about, who could pay for all these stents and so on.
No, they can't afford it.
They cannot afford it.
Civil servants and so on. They can't afford private health care for specialized services.
How come almost all these private health care providers are chock full with patients from Monday probably to Saturday?
Because you don't get the specialized care. It's so crowded in the Georgetown Hospital that the lineup is too much. For example, if you want to go and have a hernia operation, you might have to wait 3-4 months at Georgetown Hospital. People don't have that time. They want to get it over with and done. And you find a lot of people get help from abroad. The relatives send them money and they do this type of thing. So that economy is jacked up because of that. A lot of people get that type of.
Do you think you have a system where the kind of specialist care you need, the treatment you need, is outside of the reach of the person? It's probably not available at the time they want it in the public system. Do you therefore think that a lot of persons with medical conditions are unable to have those conditions addressed because of inaccessibility to the public sector and inadequacy of resources in the private sector?
If you do a surveying area, I would think about 30 to 35% of people who have those conditions die without being treated.
What's the international norm, if there's such a thing? There must be.
Well, you know, when you talk about international, if you go to the hospitals abroad, they have to look at you. You pay later.
Yes.
Here you pay first, you don't pay later. Either you pay or you get no treatment in the private institutions.
So
In
one,
George-
go on.
In Georgetown Hospital, it's overcrowded. We need to get more.
What
cardiac-
about the other public institutions, the diagnostic centers, the
No, you can get treatment there if you pay. It's still available.
where?
Woodlands and Balmansea.
No, I'm talking the Diamond Diagnostic Center, West
Oh,
Demerara
no,
Public.
no.
I'm talking about the public facilities.
Well,
Are they all overcrowded? The demand is greater than their capacity to provide the service?
No. The problem there sometimes the machines don't work. We don't have biotechnicians. You must analyze the problem. Do we have biotechnicians? Even Georgetown hospitals having a problem.
Well-
With that, to maintain the machines. We don't send people to train and say we can maintain those machines, which half the time they're down. You have gone to George Hospital and you can't do X-rays.
I've
Because
heard
of
about
the
that.
biotechnician not available. You see, each area in healthcare has gone in such a way that besides the doctors, you have to maintain your machines. They must be being serviced steadily. So do we have a contract? Do we have things going on? What do we do? Those are problems that we have. And sometimes they have to send the test out to different labs. Takes
Mhm.
time. That's a problem. It's a whole.
Well, you seem to be painting a picture more of a crisis than of a problem.
It means
Is that an overstatement? That
no? It's
if
not.
1 in 3 people die without having medical attention for the
because
particular
of
problem,
affordability.
they,
Because as you suppose you go to the hospital, the more serious is looked at first. But how
Mhm.
do you know when the other one's going to get serious as they wait in line? Can you tell? You can't tell that. Why have we done a survey? How many people dropping down at the hospital waiting for treatment, or how many die? Keep a
well,
register.
do we do any kind of surveys?
No.
Is not
There's
a
no knowledge.
responsibility. I
There
get
should
the
be
impre-
a department within the Ministry of Health for that.
Mhm.
Of course, when you advise then before they're not very keen because
And there should be a policy unit in the Ministry of Health as well.
they
Is there
have
such a thing?
policy, but I don't know how strong it is.
Do you detect a coherent policy to address the problems that you have identified, both in preventive medicine and in curative medicine?
Well, preventive medicine, I think attempts are being made with countrywide, within the regional centers, to educate the people. Curative medicines have its own problem, diagnostic, therapeutic expertise.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to look at it in two different areas. I think they are trying with the prevention areas by advice and
Yeah, but you did
nutrition.
say earlier, the sanitary inspectors are a thing of the past. That's
you-
part of the preventive medicine, is it?
I quite agreed, but as a department, that's a governmental thing by itself. When the government came into power, they cleaned all the drains. Are they still cleaning? I'm asking you.
No, well, I think that question suggests its own answer.
Then
It's not.
we started knowing the problem. We tried to correct the problem. And we continue to correct the problem. That is the question. Don't ask because it becomes political and people believe I'm here to fight a battle. I'm not here to fight with no political party or with the politics. We should make an attempt, not only the government, every citizen should make an attempt to keep his area clean. Keep the drains clean if you can't get things done. That will help the health nation. That will conduct the cost of health. But every citizen has to put his part in.
You know, if
If they try the garbage build up, what happens?
if you continue asking, you probably get back to Adam and Eve. The problem is we're facing a situation.
Yeah.
A government goes into power and says, "I will fix it,"
Yes.
and then does what? A couple days of cleaning all over the place, and then nothing. So
The people are still
Question-
throwing the garbage around, the boxes and so. In the
which
beginning-
creates a health hazard.
Yes. In the beginning, we said, okay, so garbage bins, this, that.
One of the big problems, this kind of styrofoam boxes.
Yes, that's right. Black
we-
double
we
drainage.
thankfully we've got rid of those,
Mhm.
and that's to this government's credit.
That's right.
There is an indication that plastic bottles and plastic bags will soon be a thing of the past as well.
Well, that'll be good too.
Those are extremely
Of course.
critical public health solutions.
Yes. Well, they are trying in certain areas, but they enforce it in such a way that you can get the optimum response from the people. That's not happening. You need cooperative help.
You were very defensive of the private institutions.
No, I'm
Do
not.
we-
I'm not defensive.
All right, that's
I
my.
am saying the private institution is a necessity. Take into consideration what's available
Do you think people get value for money?
in a private institution.
Yes.
How valuable is life?
No. Those rhetorical things sound good and effective, but
I think
I am asking, do you get value for money? You pay this. Does it have an element of curative? It has an element of preventive, so you don't have to go back to that doctor or that medical institution every 2 months.
If you do a survey, in certain, yeah, of course, it is very costly, but they get results. I think we have some excellent doctors around who works at George Hospital and also work privately.
Mhm.
So it's not that they can't perform. The same doctors who work at George Hospital work in a private institution.
So what's wrong? What causes that then? Why is it the doctors can't perform as well at Georgetown Hospital as they can perform privately? Is that the lure of money?
No.
Was it then?
Administration.
No, but listen,
Hold on.
you're a professional.
No,
doctor.
hold on. Within the private institution, the doctor's operating, he has his lab, he has everything is on time.
Mm-hmm.
Over time they get paid. George Hospital, they work over time, they stop work, no more work. Is the theatre fully authorized, use the operating theatre 24 hours? No. You see, it's enforcing. It's a different thing altogether. Hip replacement, for example. If you have a bad hip, you can go to Morrissey or Woodlands to get a hip replaced for 1.5 million. Georgetown Hospital can get replaced 15 years. But you can get replaced just as good.
Mm-hmm.
You understand what's happening now? One is quick. You're functional. You can provide for your family. The other one you can't.
I am not knocking the private sector. I belong to the private sector.
Yeah.
But is it that the private sector then exploits that system, that weakness in the public medical system, by saying, look, instead of you can't wait 15 years, so I am going to charge you this exorbitant price.
It might be so, I don't
Because
know.
there's absolutely no regulation.
Yeah, it might be so. But they compare to the prices they have, they compare to Trinidad and the other places.
But they're not operating in Trinidad.
I know, but they create.
You know, the
If
truth
it's all
is,
right, for example.
and you're saying
if
there,
you-
you're part of that private medical services.
no,
Let's not get at.
No, not exorbitant fee. I want the cheapest doctors, not exorbitant fees. The people need help.
Yes,
They go to the hospital, they can't get it.
the public system, and they don't get
Not
it.
because it's not available, but because of the lineup.
Yes, so it's not it's not
They say,
readily
"Oh,
available.
I need to. The scare of death and all that.
Yes,
They check Trinidad, they can't afford it.
yes.
The next best is to do it here.
Mm-hmm.
Suriname is cheap though. You can go to London cheaper right now. That's the choice you have. Either private institution, wait to George Hospital, or die. Which one?
Well, it's a question of whether the private institution
It's a quality of life.
exploits that situation. Because you know this
You know,
person cannot
the
wait.
question you have asked is, does it cost the private institution to do this service? For example, what does it cost them for the stent, for the dye, for the... I don't know. How much tax they have to pay. You have to take all that into consideration before you say the people are overcharging. I don't
No
know.
one said any of the people are overcharging.
No, the prices are very high. But these procedures are high anywhere in the world. So why is it high? We have to break it down. Surgeon fees, equipment, this, that. Where you use the things that you use, how much it costs as compared to that. Remember, the hospital is done by the government.
Yes.
Here you have to bring in these things in and all that. You have to pass through customs, you got to pay tax, you got to pay this. I don't know, I never calculate those things. You're a tax man, you should know that.
You're the medical man.
Well, I know
you import the drugs, you
the
sell
people
it.
have to, they're charging, and they got to pay tax. And I don't know, you have to ask them that, what it costs them. What is the basic cost, or what is your profit margin? If the profit margin is exorbitant, then it's a sin. They must not be utilize healthcare to the benefit of just becoming wealthy for no reason at all.
Well, these various oaths, whether taken by lawyers or doctors, I'm going to treat this person regardless. That doesn't apply. You know that.
It applies sometimes.
Sometimes.
I've treated people many times.
Oh, but you're Max. You're different.
Yeah, I don't. And I'm sure a lot of doctors do that.
If we were to make the public sector more efficient, wouldn't that help to bring down the costs in the private sector? Because
yes, because and more competitive. Yes, of course. If you can make it more efficient, where you can take off the load,
yes,
they'll have to drop the prices to attract people. To drop the prices, the competition.
So it is not so much as you were arguing just now a matter of cost, but a matter of demand relative to supply.
It might because I don't know.
Well, you write a whole set of things about cost and tax.
I don't know how the things work, but because if you're going to charge $160,000 to an angiogram, what does it really cost you? I don't know. Those are the facts we have to know.
No, I mean...
And if you would be fair in answering the question, an analysis should be done and see what it costs the people and what they're charging.
Yes, and what the fixed cost is versus the variable cost.
Then you can make a comment, hey, they're overcharging. Right now, we can't make that comment because we don't know the cost.
Now, this issue of malpractice, whether by doctors, by lawyers, by accountants, you always hear the public say, oh, don't worry, you can't complain against a doctor because fellow doctors will never say anything.
That's not true.
When
people, look at the paper, people meet struck off recently. Can't call names, but...
No, but if people are struck off, you should call them. It should be public information.
It's in the newspaper.
No, but if persons are struck off, you need to make that very... Not you, Carl.
Yeah, but it's
Hanoman.
in the paper. I saw it in the papers. I think the medical council to the other day advertised that this and this and this was done by different doctors. I think they are handling a few cases. You see, people don't complain,
Well, people are not even sure that there is this complaint mechanism.
Yeah, there is.
What is the complaint mechanism?
Right to the medical council, Ministry of Health.
Which, as you said earlier, is controlled by the politicians.
It's good.
You said that.
Well, of course, they will go get the minister.
Exactly.
You need independent medical council.
And you need some consumers. You got citizens. You
have consumers in Italy.
You have one. You have one.
What's her name, lady?
Which is a
we have a lawyer too.
And you have a lawyer. Well, accountants only got accountants, the lawyers only got lawyers. That's not good enough.
We have a lawyer, civil society person, and 5 doctors, 5 or 6 doctors. They make up the medical council.
So we get back to this question of the equipment now.
Yeah.
One hears, and can you confirm or deny that elementary tests for people going to the public medical institutions are referred to the private sector? Look, you have to go there to get this test or to get that x-ray or to get whatever else. Is that factual?
The question now you have to ask yourself, within the system, is it true that the machine is not working? Question 1. If the machine is not working, then they'll have to send it outside. Question 2. Is there a racket between these?
Would you like to answer all those questions one after?
I'm asking the question.
No.
I can't answer those questions.
No, but you, Dr. Hanoman,
you've put me at a different spot. Remember, I was.
You've never ever been afraid.
I'm not afraid.
So why not?
I am not afraid
So
of
why?
nothing. I'm saying these are the possibilities.
No. But you must know if these things happen. You were
happen all the
chairman
time.
of the board of the public
They
hospital.
happen all the time. But if you try to correct it, your head roll.
So that's doubly bad.
Yeah.
You were penalized for wanting to do
I
a good
wasn't
job.
penalized.
No, I'm not talking about you. I'm saying one is penalized for trying to do a good job.
No, there's rules, how they do it. Because you need strength in administration. And you need somebody to policing and monitoring and see their things. Each department has to be very, revamped and checked. And check record every day. Somebody moves around, this works, to know exactly what you do. Anybody can tell you this not working, this not working. You don't know. And that's why we tried. When I first went there, I said, let's computerize the hospital, that way you know everything. That hasn't happened.
Now, where would you rank our medical system in the 21st century, in the late 20th century, in the mid 20th?
We have progressed tremendously. We have progressed.
Well, are our records there?
Let me explain to you.
Yes.
You used to say Georgia Hospital is a death trap. When I was chairman there, they did baby heart. They had kidney transplant. We used to put in hips and knees. All right.
After how much? What was the waiting time? You said 15 months.
No. I started to clear up those logs. Weekends and so on. We tried to bring a system in place because we were trying to get donations for.
But
the
you're talking Jordan Hospital as though that's the
only place it can be done.
No. But this is a big country.
That's why I said earlier, we train people at George Hospital, take the expertise that we've trained, send them to periphery, and start giving those peripheral centers the same sort of care, health care that we deliver here. But they're not doing that. We are centralized. Everything moves to George Hospital. Nothing is done outside.
Do we use the reason I asked you that question as to where you would place Guyana in the time continuum of
Guyana is coming up, because
it's coming up, but from where and where is it?
No.
Now, what I'm suggesting, Dr. Hanoman, I'm not being critical. I'm saying we are at a stage now in the developed countries where you can almost, by technology,
yes,
you can get medical treatment.
That's right.
How far away from that are we?
That depends on the minds of the minister, because they
but how will the mind?
We try and here you can make recommendations, but does it happen? I quite agree with you. We are a little bit away.
A little bit.
Yeah. Still, but we are getting there, creeping.
Yeah, but as we are getting there, the goalpost because of the kind of and I'm taking you at your
Well,
word.
they have to put more investment in the hospital, in the various centers, and do a policy where you can train people, send them periphery, upgrade the training program, so healthcare is better.
Why is it? Now we often hear doctors come from abroad and want to do this help and that help. Why are the doctors in Guyana not prepared to do more public service? Go out there and talk on issues. Come on a program like this and discuss issues that help to generate
Because
ideas and thoughts for the policymakers.
doctors, remember, if you let me explain to you, because I don't think you know fully what by that. If you're a doctor within the public system, and you come and on a program like this and say anything that is not agreeable, you sent them up.
But that is backward
But you-
thinking. That's
but-
North
but
Korea.
that's the truth.
No, but then you just now said we right up here. We just a
I-
little bit for.
I'm not saying I'm talking right up here in healthcare, not in thinking. You have to think broadly and more allow criticism. You don't allow criticism.
So you those in the public sector are blocked from thinking progressively.
They're scared.
What-
Not blocked. They're scared.
They're scared. What about the private sector?
No, Percy, I don't think they're scared.
They
Percy-
would come on and discuss
yes,
issues.
of course they used to. I don't know about now, but I go on. I think a lot of the private sector doctors have gotten older and they don't come, but the younger ones don't come because they're brainwashed with the system.
You see, it's a little bit contradictory. You're saying
No, you say it's correct. I'm telling there's a the distance between the older doctors and younger doctors. The older doctors are more outspoken. The younger doctors are not going to be so.
You know, I would like this program, Plain Talk, which has been running for over 20 plus years.
Is that long?
Yes. I had black hair when I started. If you were to see the early programs, I don't have any black hair now. Now, I would like this program to talk about some like men's health issues, women health issues, the issues facing.
Those issues you can talk about, but that doesn't impinge on healthcare delivery in the hospital. It impinges on lifestyle and what people do.
Well,
and
it's
I
not
think
always lifestyle. There are some things that are genetic.
There is genetic, but we don't have. Do we have?
As a-
We have a genetic department again?
I don't know. You tell us.
No,
So
we don't have. We can't even do DNA. We have to come up.
we're a long way, Doc.
We are a long way from that type of thing. Genetic engineering is sitting on now coming on the stream, and we need to do more research. Make a research center, open a specialized hospital with the advent of oil. We got to do that. Why we do the oil money?
The medical council, to its credit, often has these series of lectures by various
Yes.
prominent people.
Those lectures have an intention. The lectures are what we call continuing medical education.
Yes, CMA.
And every doctor has to have a minimum of 12 CMEs per year to continue practicing. If you don't do 12 CMEs, you will not be licensed to practice next year.
Mm-hmm.
So all doctors go to these to make 12.
They don't go to learn; they go to make 12.
So, some go to learn.
Mm-hmm. Do we have sufficient opportunities? Of course, you have the internet now, and if one is a lawyer, you got these various subscription services where you get cases,
Lancets
legislation.
and so.
Yeah. Are there sufficient opportunities for medical practitioners to develop and hone their skills after qualification?
What you
Where
mean?
do they do it? Where do you, other than these CMEs, this continuing medical education, where do you go? Where can you go?
You mean to do workshops?
Yes.
There are some workshops that make available during the year. But you can go anywhere for upgrades. They are always advertising A lot of doctors go abroad for it.
No, I'm talking within Guyana.
Sometimes they have. Especially WHO and PAO used to have some meetings.
Mm-hmm.
The Ministry of Health holds some of great sessions. But whether it is countrywide is another matter. A lot of it is centralized in Georgetown. Remember, only in Berbice alone we have around 20 doctors. Who gives those people upgrades?
Mm-hmm.
They do CMEs too. But I think because Georgetown the MRR is a central area, more training is done here than there.
Do you think our medical profession devotes enough attention, enough attention to mental health issues?
We had a problem in that area now. Mental health, we have very few psychiatrists in the country. Right now they're doing, I think, a postgraduate program at Georgetown Hospital in conjunction with Dalhousie University
Mm-hmm.
to train doctors for psychiatry. So even though I think there is a paucity of specialists in those areas, and so we have a problem with that area.
Dr. Hanoman, I want to thank you very much for coming on Plain Talk. I'd like to have you back, and maybe with a couple of your colleagues, younger ones, older ones, doesn't matter, to discuss some of these
In time to come.
emerging issues
In time
that
to
seem
come.
to take its serious toll on life in Guyana. So thank you again.
Okay, thank you.
Our brothers and viewers, thank you, good night, see you next week.